Hey gang, welcome back to the Engineered Channel. Today I'd like to introduce you to my 2012 Can-Am Spyder. Come on back and I'm going to tell you all about it. So welcome back. Life is too short to drive ordinary, boring vehicles. So I have for you today my 2012 Can-Am Spyder. This bike looks cool sitting still as it does going fast. So the Can-Am Spyder, the 2012 Can-Am Spyder, has a 998cc Rotax engine. They call it a 990. I think they should have called it a 1000. But it's a 5-speed manual. It has a clutch, just like any other motorcycle. It weighs 700 pounds, right on the money, and it holds 6.6 gallons of gas. So you can go quite a long ways on this bike, probably longer than my Honey can go. So the market for new Can-Am Spyders, if you go buy a new one today, they're like $21,000, y'all. They're very expensive. Too expensive for me, and you know that I like a bargain. How about a third of that? How about less than a third of that? For this bike, it's a 2012 model with only 200 miles on it. It's 8 years old with only 200 miles on it. So this bike is virtually brand new. The break-in period on this bike is 600 miles. It's not even broken in yet. 106 horsepower means that this thing will scoot, and we'll go over to Mexico here in a minute, and we'll just do a little 0 to 60 run and see just how fast this bike is. So I've been riding motorcycles since like 1978. To hop on one of these is a little bit strange. And let me tell you why. Because motorcycle riders are used to a couple things. Number one, a front brake. I can't tell you how many times I've reached on this front handlebar to grab a handful of front brake and there's nothing there. All the brakes are actuated through only a foot brake on the passenger side there. The other thing that's strange about this is leaning in the corners. You want to lean in the corner, but you can't lean this bike. So the only thing you can do is slide your whole butt off the side of the seat and get off to one side and kind of lean into the corner. That's what you have to do. If you totally go into a corner sitting up like a sack of potatoes, it feels like the centrifugal force is trying to sling you straight off of the bike. And so it is a different rider experience. Now, simple things. I hopped on this bike for the first time when I bought it, and turned the key on, and I thought, well, here we go. Turn it on run mode, push the start button, and guess what? Nothing. So the dashboard up here says you have to hit the M button, the mode button. Well, you can hit this mode button up here on the dashboard, or there's another one, I'll show you a picture here, on the back side of the handlebars. So you have to hit the mode button one time to let it know that you're there and you know what you're doing, I guess. And then you can start it up. Also, when you're in reverse, this bike has a reverse, so it's the reverse process is a little strange. You have to pull the clutch in with your right hand, reach over and pull this reverse, and then step down on the shifter 2 times to put it into reverse. And when you do, you get the hazard lights automatically coming on. So this bike is in reverse. You see the hazard lights in the video. So once you push the mode button, it's as easy as pushing the starter button. And it comes to life. So believe it or not, this is my second 3-wheel. Let me show you a picture of my first one. Yes, I survived on the Honda ATC 110, and I hold the world record for jumping one of these motorcycles, this 3-wheeler, without dying. So no, if you can survive the Honda ATC 110, you can survive anything. So the Can-Am Spyder gets about 30 miles per gallon times 6.6 gallons is what, 180 plus another 18, 198, 200 miles per tank for range. Well, 200 miles is more than my Honey wants to ride at one time, so that is plenty of fuel. Now let me show you another couple things. Speaking of fuel, let me show you where the fuel goes on this bike. You have your key and you push in on the key. You turn it left to open the seat to get the gas filler. You turn it right and it opens a frunk on the trunk on the front, and it is big enough to hold about 2 helmets, 2 bags of groceries, an overnight duffel bag maybe. So it does have some short storage. Let me show you that. Let's take a walk around the bike here and see what it looks like from all angles. You can see from the back, it's a one-wheel drive or a rear-wheel drive with a little mud flap that covers the rear wheel. And then as we walk around, you can see that it's fully fared, covered with plastics all the way around. And how about that front end? Does that look great or what? This bike also has a parking brake feature on it. You can see here that the parking brake is just behind the driver's foot peg, and if you step down on the parking brake lever, it locks the parking brake, and then to unlock it, you simply push it down one more time and it springs back. Also in the back on this bike, you do have a nice seat for your passenger with big heavy-duty handholds on both sides and flip-out foot pegs, so it's easy to take a passenger on this bike. This bike does have a couple of gripes, and number one is it just takes some getting used to riding. If you're used to riding a motorcycle, this is going to be a different experience. If you're coming to this for the first time, you want to get on motorcycles, is your first one to get on, you won't have any trouble with this because you don't have any habits from riding a motorcycle already. The other one is this bike rides extremely hot, okay? There's a lot of heat off the engine. You have 2 ducts on the side that are blowing across a radiator, and they blow onto your shins and your feet, and they're very hot. I think this was solved in some of the later years on these models, but the 2012 and earlier had a real problem with a lot of heat blowing on the driver's feet and legs. In the wintertime, it probably feels great to ride, but when it's over 100 degrees outside riding, it is almost unbearable. You can't hardly stand it. So some highway pegs will be in order for this bike. I need some highway pegs for sure. Come on with me and let's go for a ride, and I'll show you how this thing performs. Let's go for a ride. So remember, life is short. Don't drive boring cars. If you're driving a Camry or a Honda Accord, that's like driving a wash machine. It's a tool to do a job. It has no soul. That's not an exciting thing to drive. Go get you something exciting, and I'll see you back here next time on the Engineered Channel.